All right, welcome to our SEADLink Member Spotlight. So our spotlight this month is Janelle O'Rourke. So Janelle is an active member who provides outstanding influence and contributions to the Mindful Sea community. So as a thanks, we are featuring her in this month's SEADLink Member Spotlight. So welcome, Janelle.
Thank you.
Yeah, well, to get us started, do you want to just share a little bit about yourself, just to give us a quick sense of who you are?
Sure. So I have been in education since 2002, which is crazy to think of that. I've been everywhere. I started in New Mexico where I got my degree. I taught there, and then I actually went to New York City and I did a for-profit education as a center director there. Then I realized not about for-profit education. So then that's what brought me to Las Vegas. And I started at Lincoln Elementary with one of, not at the time, but one of the other members, Jen, who was Jen Newton at the time, but Jen Black. And then I moved up to middle school in 2013-14 school year. And that's where I belong. I teach math, 8th grade, love it. And yeah, I'm at Monaco Middle School right now, which is back with the original people I started at Lincoln with. So it's been great. It's been a blessing. And yeah, and I'm married and I have 2 young kids that are exhausting and I love every minute of it. They're 3 and 6. So yeah, and this year it's my first year as a coach, a mentor, instructional coach, and a strategist. And it's been quite the adventure this year, but it's been great.
That's awesome. Yeah, thanks for sharing. Yeah, so first question, what made you decide to become an educator?
Um, the reason is a little different than I think you would hear. I've always been good with kids. I've always been the oldest in my family. I come from a big Hispanic family, so all of my first cousins are a lot younger than I am. So I really liked kids. When I went to college, I just decided, you know what? I had 2 experiences in high school, one in high school and one at the end of my college career, actually, where I vowed I would never be like that teacher and never make a student feel that they made me feel like I couldn't become something, because I still think about it to this day. So I know how that negative impact really resonates with a student. And I just vowed out I would never, ever do that. So it made me realize, and I just with my experience too, that I'm a firm believer with forming relationships with your students and having transparency with them, because that's how you get the buy-in from the students, and they know you care and they know you're a person. So I'm really good about that, forming relationships and really fostering that within my classroom and now within my community at my school. So that's why I got into education.
That's awesome. Yeah, thanks for sharing. Yeah, looking back, what would you say you've enjoyed most about your career?
It's the same every year, but it's different every year. It's a different group of kids and it's constant change. And I actually like change. So, just it's more of a challenge, and I've really enjoyed the relationships I've made with both students who are now, I have students, who are adults and have kids and have graduated, and they find me on social media and they tell me things where I've really made an impact with them. And even coming to Monaco, it's that relationships I formed with my then assistant principal and colleagues that are now here. And it's been really great. It's just the relationship aspect of it.
Yeah, that makes a ton of sense. I guess kind of on the flip side, what would you say has been your biggest challenge that you've overcome, and how did you overcome it?
So my biggest challenge has always been, I come from a background in my family where I'm the oldest sibling of a single parent family because my dad passed away when I was so young. So I kind of took it upon myself at the age of almost 6 to fix things. And becoming a teacher, you can't fix everything. You don't have control of everything that's outside of your classroom. And that it's taken me years to figure out, you know what, focus on what you do have control over. And that's in your classroom. And again, forming those relationships. And once that finally clicked with me, I feel like any challenge that came my way, whether it be systematic decisions where, I have no say in those decisions coming from the district or even the building, it was okay because I knew what I can control in my classroom and I knew what was important, and that was my students and how can I get for that amount of time the biggest bang for my buck. So when I finally realized that, I was like, okay, all of this other noise, it causes problems, but I can't do anything about it. So let's focus on what I can do something about.
Yeah, that's a great perspective and feels like an essential perspective to have as an educator. Yeah, thinking about SEL, how did you learn about that and what made you decide to become a mindful seed coach?
Well, so SEL, I really didn't know much about it, or I didn't know that there was a term until, of course, COVID hit. And my viewpoint, I was very negative about it. And I felt very like, how dare you tell me to take time for myself when we're in this pandemic but yet you're putting all this on my plate. So it was kind of like a slap in the face. And then last year I was accepted into the Teacher Leader Academy, and Deb and Michelle came to present every month. And I just was like, oh my gosh, that's what it is. I do this all the time. And, if we can just do this more, if more teachers need to hear about it. And that's how I got into it. And then last summer, I did the Mindful Seeds Summer, like 3-day presentation that they had online. And I learned about this Seed Champions, and I applied for it because I was like, you know what? I'm going to be in a new position, and this will help me. It'll help my one class that I teach now, and it'll help the teachers at my school. And I really loved Deb and Michelle and their openness and their just kindness and putting up with me asking questions and being so excited because I'm like one of those kids in the classroom that's like, oh, me. So I'm like, okay, I need to tone it down. But they were just very caring and accepting. And it's been such a blessing. It's been such a blessing.
Yeah, that's awesome to hear. It's so cool. Yeah, especially to have that kind of 180 perspective of like you thought it was something, but it's actually something that you already use. How you found that SEL and Mindful Seed has helped you, including before you knew it was SEL?
It's helped in so many ways professionally and personally. It really has helped me for sure in my new coaching position that I have. It's really, the first semester was extremely difficult because last year was my first year at Monaco. I came in as a teacher in the math department. And then the next year it's like, okay, here's Janelle, the coach for math. So trying to get that buy-in from the teachers was very hard, and I was taking things very personal. And because of our bi-monthly meetings and the website, the SEADLink website, and just talking to other members, just really made me realize, you know what? A lot of the time it's not you, it's them. So how can you show gratefulness, and how can you spread that through your school? And so it's really taught me, as far as my school, is really being mindful of how I put things. I do a weekly coaches corner where I send out, it has really nothing to do with you have to do this, you have to do that. It's just I do a weekly teacher and staff spotlight, and I put their picture on there and just say some of my things. I put people's birthday that week up, and I put just a snippet of our Google Calendar for the week, because we all know the Google Calendars are insane and they're just hard to decipher. So just little things like that. I've seen a change in the school, because it's like, okay, so that's helped tremendously. And then I can use the same type of things at home with my husband and my kids, and just how I am when I get home and how I just need to breathe. And, so it's really helped me, it's just come full circle. So.
Yeah. I mean, myself as well. There's so many times where it's like, oh yeah, I definitely need to take a breath now. I need to
Mhm.
recenter. Otherwise, I'm gonna start, lashing out at people that really don't deserve it. It's more about me. So yeah, definitely I can resonate with that. Are there any topics or what topics would you like to talk more about with your fellow SeedLink members?
I think what would be beneficial, I would really love to have like a virtual toolbox or something simple to go to, of go-to strategies where you like click on a button and it's kind of like just organized. I love the SeedLink because there's so much there. I think that would be something great that we could come up with. But I also want just quick, simple ways you can create student buy-in within the classroom, like present that to teachers. Because I know just like with a coach or an admin, you're constantly trying to have teacher buy-in for whatever it may be, a new schedule, a new program or whatever, but you kind of have to be quick on your feet sometimes in the classroom. But I feel like when the adults understand their emotional competencies and everything, it just kind of automatically happens in the classroom. It doesn't have to be like, we are going to do a lesson on SEL today, and I've seen that a lot. I've seen both where it's like, okay, we're going to do an SEL lesson in some class, but then I see other teachers who really understand what it is and just teach their class like that, and it just automatically happens. So I think that's the simple, quick, ways to look at, like, just like a toolbox, be like, okay, this is the problem I'm having, click here, here's something you can do. But I learn something new every time. Every single meeting, it's something like, oh, let me write this down. This is something I want to do.
Yeah, that's great. And that's a great suggestion. I think that's something we should definitely work on, creating a really easy toolbox resource on SeedLink. I know we do have some files in there that we're starting to organize, like breathing exercises in a folder, but I think we could definitely do more with that. So thanks for sharing that. If you could go back in time, you have a lot of experience, and give yourself one piece of advice, what would it be?
I think it would be to give yourself and others grace, because we've got this and things are hard, and you're going to make mistakes, but it's okay. Give yourself grace, because just like we tell our students, you're going to make mistakes. I want you to make mistakes because that's how you learn. And it's really hard when you're first starting off to think about making mistakes, that it's okay, because you just have this completely different mindset when you're first starting. So I think just giving yourself, I would tell myself, give yourself grace and give others grace, because you never know what's going on in that person's life at any given moment.
Yeah, totally agree. Definitely great advice to live by, especially learning it younger.
Yes.
All right. Most difficult question for last. Imagine a day without work, the internet, and any other applications. What do you do?
It's actually easy for me right now, and only because I have a 3 and 6-year-old, and I would want to go to like a resort that's just like no technology whatsoever, and sleep and be able to go to the spa and just take care of me, like just by myself. I love my alone time, and that was the biggest, and I love being a parent, but it's hard to force yourself to give yourself that needed alone time. And people are like, you work very far from home. I was like, I need that 30-minute drive one way every day. It's needed. It's a very needed space, So that's something I would do, is just like, oh, let me go to this resort where it's just me. I can sleep as long as I want. I can go get a massage. I can go just take care of me and just relax.
That sounds great. I love it. I love that. Taking time for yourself. Hey, I think you should go for it. It's just the start of 2023. I think you can do
Oh,
it.
my husband knows. I'm like, I don't need a tangible gift for Valentine's Day, for my birthday, for anything like that. I was like, just send me somewhere for a day and just let me relax, which is pretty easy for him now, because we live in Las Vegas. You can
Yes,
just kind of send me anywhere.
exactly. Well, that's great. Well, thank you so much for sharing with me today and for being a part of Mindful Seed.
Well, thank you for having me. It's been quite the amazing adventure.
Yes, for sure.